What's going on? It is your good sis Lyss. And in today's episode, I'll be answering two important questions. What's the difference between the fruits of the Spirit and the gifts of the Spirit? And why do we need both? Whether you're brand new to faith or you've been walking with God for years, this episode will help you recognize God grows your character and gives you supernatural ability, both for a reason. So let's jump in. Let's start with the fruits. Galatians 5:22 through 23 tells us, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control." The fruits are the evidence of God's Spirit living and working inside of you. They show up in how you love, how you treat people, how you react under pressure. Imagine the fruit of the Spirit is like the root system of a tree. Hidden at first, but over time, it produces visible fruit that everyone can see. The fruit isn't about what you do for God, it's about who you are becoming in Him. Let's walk through them real quick. Love. Is God calling you to love people who are hard to love? Joy. Is He teaching you to find joy even in tough seasons? Peace. Is He helping you stay steady when life feels chaotic? Patience. Is He building endurance in your waiting season? Kindness. Is He nudging you to show compassion without expecting anything back? Goodness. Is He sharpening your desire to do what's right even when no one sees? Faithfulness. Is He testing your commitment when things aren't exciting anymore? Gentleness. Is He softening your heart where you've become hard? And self-control. Is He teaching you to say no when it would be easier to say yes? After reviewing all of the fruits, which fruit do you believe God is currently growing in you the most right now? Now, let's talk about the gifts. 1 Corinthians 12:4 through 11 lists different kinds of gifts that God gives. Words of wisdom. This is more like the insight into God's will and His ways beyond normal understanding. And then you have words of knowledge. This is the divine revelation of information you couldn't know naturally. Faith. A supernatural confidence in God's promises even when circumstances say otherwise. Healing. The ability to pray for and see physical, emotional, or spiritual healing. Miraculous powers. God working through you to perform miracles beyond human ability. Prophecy. Speaking messages from God that reveal His heart or His future plans. Discernment. Knowing whether something is from God's Spirit, a human spirit, or a demonic spirit. Speaking in tongues. Praying or speaking in heavenly languages by the Spirit's power. Interpretation of tongues. Understanding and explaining a message spoken in tongues. The gifts are supernatural abilities given by God. Not because we earned them, but because He chose us to carry them. So if the fruits equate to character transformation, the gifts equate to your supernatural assignments and abilities. It's important to remember that the gifts are given to serve others, not to promote ourselves. Romans 11:29 says, "For the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable." So what does this mean? For the gifts, God-given abilities and assignments, and the calling of God, the purpose and mission that He's placed on our lives, are irrevocable, meaning God doesn't change His mind or take them back, even if we mess up, delay, or doubt ourselves. This was actually Paul's way of saying, when God gives you a gift or calls you to something, He means it. He doesn't unchoose you. For context, in Romans 11, Paul is speaking specifically about Israel. He's saying that although many Israelites rejected Jesus as the Messiah, God didn't reject them. His covenant, his promises, and his calling on their nation still stood. God doesn't take back what he gave. He's not like people. So how does this apply to you? Even though Paul was talking about Israel specifically, the principle still applies to every believer today. Even if you've walked away for a while, delayed obedience, made mistakes, felt unworthy, been inconsistent, your gift still exists and your calling still matters. God is patient, and even when we fall short in character, also known as fruit, he hasn't canceled his assignment on our lives, our gifts. While God won't take the gift away, your impact, your credibility, and your fruitfulness can absolutely be affected by how you handle it. God gives gifts, but if you neglect them, bury them, or dishonor him with your life, the gift may remain, but the influence might wither. That's why gifts and fruit must grow together. Because God will never cancel his calling, but we can delay or damage how powerfully it operates in and through our lives. For example, we talked about King Saul before. I'm going to bring him up again. King Saul was handpicked by God to be the very first king of Israel. He was anointed, gifted with leadership, and empowered to do big things for God's people. At first, Saul showed potential. He even started off humble. But over time, something shifted. He let pride creep in. He became more concerned with looking good in front of people than honoring God. He started making decisions without waiting for God's instruction. And he disobeyed direct commands from God because he was worried about his reputation. And little by little, the fruit started to rot. His patience turned to impatience. His faithfulness gave way to fear and insecurity. His humility collapsed into arrogance. In 1 Samuel 16:14, it says, "Now the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord tormented him." Here's the key. Saul kept the position. He still wore the crown, but he lost the anointing, the Spirit's empowerment and blessing. He still looked like a king to everyone else, but spiritually, the covering that made him powerful was gone. It's possible to still hold the title, but lose the touch of God on your life. This is why fruit matters just as much as gifts. Gifts alone aren't enough to sustain you. God is looking for a heart that remains soft, obedient, and aligned with him. All right, time to confess. I learned the difference between the fruits and the gifts the hard way. I once liked a guy, and then over time I noticed I was attracted to him, and I was drawn in by his gifts. He was talented, he was smart, he could speak so well and lead so powerfully. But over time, I noticed something was off. The fruits were lacking. I noticed that he really didn't operate out of any of them. No love, no joy, no peace, no patience, no kindness, no goodness, no faithfulness, no gentleness, and no self-control. He taught me it doesn't matter how gifted someone is if they don't have the fruit to match. Matthew 7:16 tells us, "You will know them by their fruits." Not by how impressive they seem, not by their popularity, but by their fruit. So although it was hard to let go, I had to move on because I know that God's best for me knows the importance of operating in the fruits of the Spirit and the gifts of the Spirit. Let's dig deeper into why we need both. For one, if you have gifts but no fruit, you might be powerful outwardly, but toxic inwardly. You could draw crowds, but cause spiritual harm because love isn't guiding you. And if you have fruit, but no gifts, you could have a pure heart, but miss the supernatural moves God wants to make through you. You could be so focused on being good that you never step into boldness, risk, or impact. Power without love damages, and love without power misses opportunities. Where God is trying to grow your fruit and where He's trying to use your gift is often where the enemy will attack you the most. And why is that? Because if the enemy can corrupt your character, he can discredit your gift. And if he could suppress your gift, he can minimize your impact. This is why both are constantly under pressure. So ultimately, you're really dangerous to the enemy's plans when you walk in both. 1 Corinthians 13, 1-2. If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. Paul is telling us it doesn't matter how gifted you are if love isn't leading. Love? This fruit is the foundation that holds everything steady. And the gifts are the tools God uses to move through you. So without the correct foundation, rooted in God and His love, the tools break people instead of building them. So now we understand that you're called to grow in both. You should also understand that it's not automatic and it's gradual. Here are 5 practical ways that you can cultivate both. Number 1, daily presence with God. Make it personal. John 15:5 encourages us that fruits grow through abiding in Him. Gifts activate through bold steps of obedience. So spending time with God in prayer, worship, and His Word transforms you from the inside out. The more you stay connected to the source, the more both your character and your calling stay healthy and strong. Number 2, start small. If God is nudging you to encourage someone, pray for someone, teach, lead, start there. The fruit and the gift both grow with patience and faithfulness. Don't wait until you feel ready. Obedience in small moments leads to growth in bigger moments. God often develops both your roots and your reach through everyday opportunities that seem ordinary at first. Number 3, stay teachable and accountable. Let trusted leaders, mentors, or mature believers speak into your life. Pride kills fruit. Isolation kills gifts. Having people who can lovingly correct and encourage you protects you from blind spots and spiritual drift. Accountability keeps you grounded, humble, and positioned for real lasting growth. Number 4, walk in humility and courage. Use the gifts without pride. Grow the fruits without fear. Both are needed, and both require you to step out even when it's uncomfortable. Humility reminds us it's not about our glory, it's about God's. And courage reminds us that we're empowered to move even when it feels risky or unfamiliar. Number 5, ask God boldly. So pray like this: God, grow your character in me and unleash your calling through me. Make me fruitful and faithful. God delights in answering prayers that align with His heart, and developing you is one of His highest priorities. So be willing to ask and be ready to walk through the stretching, the pruning, and the equipping that comes with the answer. You are meant to be a tree full of good fruit and a vessel full of powerful gifts. Matthew 7:17. A good tree produces good fruit. 1 Peter 4:10. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. Friend, you were never meant to live half full. You were made to reflect all of God, His heart and His hand, His love and His power. The world doesn't just need talented people, it needs transformed people rooted in God. So I'll end with this. A gift left unused becomes a buried blessing, hidden not just from the world, but from yourself. When we neglect what God placed inside of us, it doesn't just delay impact, it dims our own sense of purpose. But the good news is, God can still revive what feels buried. It's never too late to dig it back up, dust it off, and begin again. Until next time, take care and bear good fruit.